Hi, my name's Augustin Chan, and I have a bunch of slides here. I think what I want to try to do is maybe try to blow through them a bit and then try to do some demos. Yeah, because that's what we're all about here in the open source conference. And I don't think this presentation will be very technical, but I hope it will be meaningful. And so the first thing, okay, hold on. Do I need to plug this in and plug it back? It's gone to sleep, yeah. Is it my computer? Oh, unlock my stuff. Okay, good. So, how do I go to the next? Oh, what a crazy ass photo this is. Okay, so taste is so subjective. So I think you want to get a feeling for the person behind, sort of steering it. So I grew up in New York, but my parents they're from Hong Kong. So I asked AI, what is my level of Cantonese, and it said about 10 years old. Yeah, so識聽又識講, but 十零歲嗰啲廣東話. That's about it. And my parents, they were immigrants. They were just struggling about trying to get by in New York. They didn't know a lot of people, so they wanted to put me into a safe day camp. So a safe day camp meant Jewish day camp. So I went to Hillcrest Jewish day camp. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Ate challah bread every week. My best friend was Joseph Goldman in the front row, second. And so his nickname was Stinky. So we would sit next to each other on the bus, back and forth from day camp. And I wanted to give you guys a bit of a feeling around what it was like to grow up back then. So, you know, of course, knowing Chinese is such a big advantage. But back then, people like me, we wanted to fit in. So we didn't really want to learn Chinese, even though, like, looking back, it's one of my big regrets. And so my perspective on Chinese culture now is sort of like a Guilo's interest. It's like I'm really interested in it from sort of an outside perspective, even though I'm very Chinese. I eat fish head, I love Dai Pai Dong, I love all the stuff about Chinese food and Chinese culture. And so enough about that. Okay, so let's get down to the meat of it. That's my LinkedIn. Please connect. And so the artwork that we're going to be talking about today is for an I Ching app called 6 Lines. Oh, wait, let me show you this thing. Woo! Oh, look at that, $30 on Taobao. My wife ordered this. And so 6 Lines is sort of an exploration of the I Ching through like philosophy and artwork, ink brush artwork, as well as public domain masterpiece artwork. It's free. There's no subscription. It uses a communal well model. I have a bunch of articles that goes into the reasons why that is. But yeah, so that's the artwork we'll be going through. And then I'm also a co-host for the Hong Kong AI podcast, and I have a blog, and that's my LinkedIn. So please connect with me. Thank you. And so the I Ching is an ancient divination system, 3,000 to 5,000 years old. And when Confucius encountered it at around 500 BC, which is about it's right before the Warring States period and Spring and Autumn period, he knew it was divination, but he started steering it towards being more of a moralistic and philosophical framework. So I have an older version of the I Ching. Oh, do we need to do some stuff here? Sorry.
I'm so sorry, it's running like everything. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Do I need to do stuff? Do I stop? Okay, I keep going. Okay, I keep going. And so when he encountered it, he started making it more about philosophy and how to think about things, rather than divination, which is more about telling you what will happen. And so my earlier version of my earlier exploration of the I Ching was called 8-Bit Oracle. That was more about raw divination. This is more about, 6 lines is more about literature and philosophy. And so one of my favorite hexagrams, there are 64 of them, so you can think of the hexagrams as a dictionary of every possible situation you might encounter in reality. So, you know, I Ching masters, they might not actually use the I Ching through yarrow stalk casting or coin toss. They might use it more like pattern matching. They'll recognize a situation, they'll say, oh, this situation's like marrying maiden, this situation's like oppression, I should behave in this manner, right? And so for youthful folly, I like this hexagram because, well, I have a funny story about this one. A 12-year-old reached out to me to connect on LinkedIn. And I was ambivalent about accepting it because I felt like it was a young person with a mountain of social media and being an adult in front of him. And that's what youthful folly sort of talks about. So the bottom trigram in youthful folly is a water, as a spring. You can think of it as like a spring. Yes? Oh, sorry.
Maybe I will have to set a timer.
Timer on my machine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, turn it off to sleep. Keep going. So basically, the imagery behind this is a water below and the mountain above. So you can think of it, so water basically spreads, it goes to the lowest places, but it's also the strongest force, and it reaches up into the mountain. So the mountain is this sort of this insurmountable thing.
30 minutes, so it's gonna be not sleeping.
Okay, you can turn it up to 30, yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. What's your name? Thank you. Ronald, thank you, Ronald. Yes, we met yesterday. So that's sort of the imagery. There's the judgment and images and the lines around the I Ching. There's all these different situations. But youthful folly, the two main concepts with youthful folly is the student seeks the teacher, not the other way around. And the reason why that is because the student needs to be ready to learn, right? And the other thing it says is you should ask a question once, but if you ask a question 2 or 3 times, that means you are not ready to receive the answer, right? So there's some, I think there's some wisdom there. Okay, so now we lost the focus here. So back to this challenge. And the challenge is there was a Han Dynasty poet who wrote 4,096 poems, 64 times 64. So in the I Ching, you can have the current sort of situation and a future sort of hexagram through changing lines. And so there's a lot of this sort of crazy guy from the Han Dynasty, he wrote the Zhao Shi Yilin, which is 4,096 verses. So how do we create, what's a great way to sort of create the artwork behind this? Because wouldn't that be a cool thing to do? And tied to that is if we want to really try to create something nice and great, there's this concept of taste. And when I initially think about taste, you might get some ideas around it being sort of elitist or snobby. But the way I like to think about taste is it's actually just something that's maybe hard to describe or hard to define. And if that's the case, then in theory, it actually should be hard to tell an AI what your taste is, because it's sort of hard to sort of describe into words. And so one way you might want to think about it is it's pattern recognition earned through iteration against good references. Sorry, it's a very dense sentence. But basically, if you, maybe you need to be a little older, or maybe you're just talented, maybe you can recognize what you like and don't like. And over time, you can sort of develop your own preferences, right? But it's really hard to define, and it emerges through sort of experience and understanding. And so how do you teach something that you can recognize it, but it's really hard to write into words? And so, well, this is the whole loop. My original version of this slide had 4 boxes, and then I started looking back at what I really was doing, and it's actually just 2 boxes. Because we're surrounded by boxes in AI. There's the LLM of how it works. We don't really know how it works. There's the image model. That's another black box. We don't really know how it works. But basically, it's just an iterative loop where I was judging what I liked and didn't like. I was taking stabs at generating images based off of these sort of compact couplets from the Jiao Shi Yi Lin. And I would basically tell AI to sort of help me decide or help it think about what was the difference between the good and the bad image, and then grab out rules. And so these rules would get iterated over time until I was finally happy with what it generated. So it was really sort of, I mean, this is the whole slide, folks. If you have another talk to go to, you can just, this is it, okay? But this is the essence. I just kept repeating until I got to the point where the skill was fleshed out, it was repeatable. I would do spot checking around the rules, and they made sense to me. But that's really the essence. And so the Jiao Shi Yi Lin is actually quite challenging because it's 4,096 poems, and most of them need some expansion or they have no imagery at all. So think about what we see in an image that we take for granted. It has a subject, there's like perspective, there's like a foreground, there's a background, there's decoration. But some of these poems are just expressing a feeling about auspiciousness or positivity or loss. So how do we create consistent images based on these sort of abstract concepts? And there's some examples here. I'll share the slides. We don't need to read that. And so while I was iterating, you would get, it's sort of like a roll of the dice, right, when you play with these models. Sometimes you'll get lucky, sometimes you won't. This was round one, just adding on style as a suffix to the poem. And it was like, it was okay, but maybe not lively enough, a bit simplistic. This, we were like, well, maybe the issue is with the suffix itself. Why don't I swap out the suffix from something that's in English printing, something called wabi-sabi. I don't know what this is. The AI said, hey, why don't you try wabi-sabi? I'm like, okay, I'll try wabi-sabi. And this is what we get. And it's too, like some people like it, but I thought it was too photorealistic. It wasn't in line with what, I'm sorry.
It's for statues and cups and other physical objects. It's not for the...
Okay. Because it was probably honing in on the well itself. Yeah.
No, the objects. These are for wabi-sabi.
Yes. Yeah, because that poem was about a well, so maybe that's why it made that recommendation. And so one of the discoveries is that you can't just simply tack on a suffix. And Yuli and I, we had a discussion about this, about Confucian style wordings. And so these LLMs, they really latch on to everything. So you can't just add on a suffix. You really want to use painterly language when you're working, if you're doing text to image, for example. If you're doing text to image and there is a style of wording that works best with the style that you're going for, then the recommendation here is to infuse and use those wordings as part of the image prompt and not just tack on a style at the end. So bad would be a tree on a hill and then a Chinese ink painting. What you really want is a gnarled pine leans from a cliff face like a brushstroke frozen with mid-sweep. Roots gripping stone above a gorge filled with morning mist. And then, of course, Chinese ink painting, because these AIs keep forgetting, so you have to keep repeating things. And so we broke it down more. So this was the breakthrough prompt. And so the core understanding is we want to write these like captions. So you have a foreground, well mouth brims over, water sheeting across worn stone. Midground, streams diverge over sun-baked ground, carving shallow channels. And then in the background, in the beyond, desolate hills roll to a hazy horizon and amber glints on the streams. So there's in total about 7 composition rules. And so the same image, well, basically the same core poem from that 4,096 Jiao Shi Yi Lin This is sort of what it came up with when it was run through the skill completely. So the skill is actually called, the plugin is called Inkstone, but the skill is called verse to prompt. Okay, so we're half time. Thank you, Julian. And we won't go and read it all. And so I had the AI, like I was saying before, the AI is really good. If you ask it, hey, what's going on here? It can actually do an analysis, and then you still needed to use your judgment in agreeing or disagreeing with what the AI is telling you. So I had the AI analyze, and so when I said, hey, I really like this, it actually figured out, hey, you know what? The language register is very important. You want spatial structure because you tend to like images that sort of have spatial depth to it. Warm accents, so some accent colors. You can't really see it on this one, but you'll see it later. And you want to sort of frame the image with, in this case, there's gorges. And so there's some composition rules: frame the scene, force depth, demand contrast, warm accent. And let's just go through some of the, you wanted to take an image, but you'll get this QR code too. And so here's some representative styles. Atmospheric night, notice the lantern in the foreground. The ink landscape, which we saw. So these are the actual couplets that are coming from the Zhao Shi Yu Lin. And then for Guailos like me, I have to read the English, sorry. Figures in mist, so notice the young child with the yellow blouse on. Bold action, notice the lightning strike in the middle. White dragon and black tiger rise in shared fury. Chi Yu flees and defeats slain at Lushou. So this is the other challenging thing with the I Ching and the Zhao Shi Lin. It's referencing like very historical events that you actually have to read up on to actually understand what's happening. And my personal favorite is Cosmic Night. The dragon born in the deep pool, long-lived and divine, flying upward to heaven, dwelling among the stars of Xuanyuan. And so all of these are basically transformations of hexagrams. So this is actually hexagram 64 transforming to 54, and that's what the Book of Changes is about. It's about change. If I were to say 3 words to describe the Book of Changes or the I Ching, it's timing is everything. If you were to understand it from a New Yorker perspective, that would be it. And so a lot of rounds. I'm a bit more than halfway. I think I might just blow through this and then just do a demo. So just some reference materials on a skill and what a plugin is versus a skill. And then I've got some more information on what's in Inkstone. There's a UI UX architect skill. There's a media kit. If you are interested in speaking, it can help you build transparent images. And of course, verse to prompt, which is the skill within the plugin that we're talking about. And so this is sort of some ChatGPT is getting really good at image generation now. So to generate beautiful Chinese ink push paintings, this is sort of the core mechanism. You're dealing with 2 black boxes. You don't really know what's happening, but as long as you're judging the outputs and having the AI analyze what's going on, and then you use your judgment to sort of distill out the rules into the skill so that it's repeatable. That's sort of the essence of what we're doing here. Takeaways. Taste is iterative. Show, don't tell. Yeah, that's a good one. And humans, we have taste. So AI extracts patterns. I don't think I want to get into a philosophical discussion on that. I think that would be an endless talk there. So the skill was originally developed for Claude Code, but I tested it and made some updates this morning. It works fine with Open Code. And yes, Dom gave a great talk this morning, so I rearranged some slides. I thought he had a good point to say about supporting Hong Kong open source, and I can't believe Sammy's been doing it for 10 plus years, and the rest of the organizing team. So very, very appreciative to them. And of course, Hong Kong AI podcast. Tanya, the main host, speaks Guangdonghua, Gokyu, and English, and then I chime in every once in a while. We're up to our 11th or 12th episode will be out tomorrow, and we have a few more in store, and it's on YouTube, so please join and subscribe if you want to learn about AI builders in Hong Kong. And thank you. So this is the slides, and then the LinkedIn, and then you can take a picture of this while I set up the demo. I think I have some time for a demo, right? All right, here we go. All right, so just is this one they used a lot? Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, so this is actually what it looks like. So every day it's going through a progression of the lines within the I Ching. So today it's going through we're at the third line of return, and this is sort of the image that's expressed. So it looks like a happy image. If you want to learn about how the lines are chosen, this is more of maybe it's like a blended academic cultural project, so everything is like pretty well cited. And if you want to learn more about this image, you can click on it and we'll go through and give sort of commentary on what's happening in terms of the history, the historical figures, and there's even references. So you can click on each of those and you can figure out, okay, this is talking about Emperor Yao, who was a legendary figure, and it cites the classical sources. And the app also supports traditional and simplified Chinese here, so we can support, yeah. And one more thing to show is this cool matrix mode. So for fans from my original 8-bit Oracle project, they might like Jules, they might like this type of aesthetic. And actually, I can try to demo this part, which is the generation for how to get this style. So give me a sec. Okay. All right. Now to be honest, I do use Claude Code mostly, but since we're here, I'm using Open Code. Okay, just to prove that the skill works. So in skills, you just check to make sure that the verse to prompt is there, and so this is the verse to prompt. It's loaded. That means your environment is set. And I did have some HTMLs generated, but what I'll have it do is I'll generate a new HTML page that goes against fal.ai image generation, uses the skill, and comes up with 5 style categories compared. So let's try to do it. Okay, let's go with 1. All 5 styles compared. And DeepSeek V4 Flash I've been having pretty good success with. I don't know about you guys. I find it's a little bit stronger than the previous free one, which was Minimax 2.5.
Minimax free is pretty okay, actually.
Is it there? Can Open Code get it?
You have to pay Olama,
Ah, okay.
which is cheap.
So it's going through, and so so I do have an image pipeline that knows how to go to fal.ai. It has a fal.ai API key. It's using the skill to sort of translate some specific verses into image prompts, and then it sends them to fal.ai, and it's thinking. And how much time do we have now, Yulia? Maybe I can take some questions while we're waiting. 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. Any questions so far? While we wait for this thing. Let's see. Maybe I can show some other things too. I use fal.ai for a lot of my generations. So I'll just show you what that looks like. And some recent history. Oh. And this was some fun experiments that I had with adding the sort of the matrix green aesthetic and blending it with the ink brush painting stuff. Yes. Yep. Yes.
And for your principles and those ideas, do you have reference or how can we validate?
Okay, so let's take why don't we take a look at the skill MD itself? That's actually a good thing to look into. I think that's what you're curious about, right? Oh, I gotta figure out how to increase this thing, and I gotta figure out how to bring it to the thing. Oh my goodness. Are you talking about the skill you wanted to? Oh, the principle. It's all taste. It's all like what you like and what you don't like. It's all what I like and what I don't like. Now, keeping in mind, I did have in my mind how many images I needed to do. There was 4,096 images. And so I would go back and forth with the AI to ask it, what would be sort of a Pareto, like an 80-20 optimal number of variations that would be good to sort of, to apply to this set of poems that I needed to create images for. So I would go back and forth and brainstorm, and because you don't want to have a gazillion variations, and you didn't want too much going on in the image too, but it is in essence like taste, sort of how much you want going on in the image and so on.
My problem is how can you define the context? So it tends to be a very subjective interpretation, right? That's it. Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm just really going for repeatability and consistency, and what I like. So that's really the essence of it. Yeah, don't you like it? Yeah, it's okay. Is it okay? Okay, let me see if I can show you a little bit about how the skill looks like. Okay, it's still building. Okay. It's going through and doing the stuff. While it's doing it, why don't I try to bring over the skills.md, the text file. And now I gotta figure out how to make the screen super big. Oh God. And then Command plus, Control plus. Text. Anyway, it's small. But basically, there's two sections, or maybe 2 or 3 sections. But the main section is going through the ink brush artwork. It's listing the 5 style categories: atmospheric night, ink landscape, figures and mist. And then it's giving rules on what the generated prompt must follow in terms of framing the scene, forcing depth, demanding contrast, and so on. This is all in the GitHub, so you can read it at your leisure. And then there's sort of variations besides Inkbrush. There's sort of the more matrix tech noir style is also in there. So they're just slight adjustments in terms of color palette and stippling and styles, in terms of scene. Yeah, and so there's a tech noir style, and there's also like a matrix style, which is very close to each other. And then let's Alt-Tab to open code and see all in range. Is it done? Okay, I'm going to try to open this file now. Boy. Manifest. 5 styles. Image to generate. Oh God, live demo. It looks like it didn't actually do anything. Hold on. It just generated the prompt. Darn. Okay, here we go. I'm probably like way over now. So this was the image model we're using is something called Z-Image Turbo. I was turned on to this by fellow AI tinker Jeremy Chow. who's also a guest in one of our podcast episodes, and he was telling me, "Og, you gotta use this. It's like fractions of a penny, and people on Reddit are going crazy because they're just running it on their own computer." Me, I don't have I'm getting older. I can't deal with my own hardware. So even those kind of simple things for me, I'll just use Fal.ai, even though it's really, it's super cheap, and that's what I did with it. So it's Z-image/turbo. It's a Chinese model, only 6 billion parameters, very inexpensive. Oh, and the time is up. Thank you, Yulia. Okay. That's it. Should I go to the last slide and let's see.